thoughts on the format, right? Because now the ICC have changed the World Cup format going forward from 2027. But in this cycle, it seemed like, the Super League is kind of window dressing to pretend that teams have a chance to get into the World Cup, whereas you have only 10 teams finally. So did you like the format, or was it just like pretense from the ICC again?
Well, I mean, I think the format is, I mean, in part, is of course, it's a sort of compromise with necessity. You can, especially now that you've got the pandemic, it's fairly fortunate they weren't planning on doing a complete round robin because they would almost certainly not have been able to. But also, of course, there's political considerations because these are sort of officially still bilateral games, even though the ICC is running the competition. Really, they're only running the points table.
Right.
So you still have political problems, of course, India, Pakistan not being able to play each other. You're right with the World Cup looking set to expand to 14 teams, which I guess more on that later. But then I don't imagine that this exact format will survive for the next cycle because it doesn't really make sense because unless you have almost all of the teams qualifying direct. So I imagine it'll be rejigged. Especially, I think now if there's a risk that a full member, especially an established full member like Sri Lanka, might end up, because they've obviously had a horrid start, might end up bottom. I think there's a good chance you'll see it either expanding and they might go into, say, a 14 or even a 16 team competition with two pools. But I don't think that's being really thought about yet. As it is, for the thing is that while it is, of course, a pathway to World Cup qualification, you're right. I mean, India automatically get through, and a lot of teams already won't be terribly worried about it. Certainly, New Zealand and Pakistan probably don't have to be too concerned. England refuse to be concerned, regardless of how well or badly they're doing. But it's also just a structure for ODI cricket in general. And certainly for the Dutch, it's phenomenal because it gives them sort of more ODIs against full member opposition than they've almost had in their entire history.